It sounds crazy, but you are the one that's pressing the buttons. You're the constant. You are the player playing the character. It's nobody else. So it's your history being interpreted on the screen through buttons, through special moves, through spacing, through temperament. You know what I'm saying? Through playstyle, through decisions. It's you. You are the constant. You are the one that is always involved in all of your matches, regardless of the character you play, regardless of the playstyle. It's always you. So before I get started on Meshu's replay, which I'm going to load up right here, I'm going to answer Bioncre's question about dealing with frustration. And I think this is the perfect time to do it because I'm frustrated as shit. Now, when it comes to emotions, right, you have to know when your emotion is present, when it's not present, when it's arising, when it's ceasing, right, when it's on its like cessation, when it's going away, understanding the conditions that underlie the rising and the falling of those emotions. And lastly, you got to know how to avoid it in the future with all those things combined. If you can't even tell me when are you angry and when are you not angry while you're angry or when you're not angry, that's the first thing you have to work on. You have to realize your emotion in real time, because if you don't, it colors your world and you have no idea what's happening. So imagine if you had like a pond in front of you, right? Your emotions basically would color. Imagine adding food coloring to the water. Your reflection would be skewed. It would be different, right? If you can't even tell me what color is in the water, if you can't even realize that the water's not the same color as it usually is, then you're more than likely under the emotion, and you need to work on your mindfulness, okay? So the second point of that is when it's not present. Noticing when it's not present is very important because it teaches you that emotions are impermanent. They're not gonna last forever. So the frustration you feel when you come across somebody that's pissing you off in game, out game, at work, at school, you notice that, yo, this isn't gonna last forever, because nothing lasts forever, right? The ultimate attachment, which is you and your body, doesn't last forever. So how can anything last forever? Obviously it's not true. So that's why it's important to notice when you're not angry, when you're playing, when you're, you know, when you're studying, when you're watching replays. Noticing how you feel constantly and monitoring yourself is very important, because it'll help you learn to be separated. Not separate in a sense of like violently opposing your emotions, but rather seeing it for what it is, which is something that simply just happens. It's just an experience. It's not you. But us as humans, every single day when we experience, we're the only constant in our everyday lives, right? So obviously, if all Zaf sees every single day is Zaf and experiences, I'm going to misconstrue experiences as Zaf. So it's important, again, to know when I am feeling an emotion and when it is absent. Okay, so that is numero uno. I kind of would bunch those two together. Number two would be the rise and the fall of those things, okay? The rise and the fall. So the rise, what is causing the emotion? Or when do I feel it starting to brew up? Instead of me reacting to it as it's already there, when can I sense that I'm starting to get irritated, okay? Because then you can start pinpointing these moments. Ah, it's right when I make a mistake, or it's when I mess up my DP. Oh, it's when I get crush countered. You see what I'm saying? Oh, it's when somebody looks at me the wrong way. It's when somebody makes a snarky remark to one of my questions. You see what I'm saying? So then you start to see it's the experience that you are interpreting a certain way that's triggering these emotions. These emotions don't just happen. There's a certain focus that you're giving to a situation, an experience, that's causing you to retaliate the way you're retaliating. Next is knowing when it starts to cease, when it's on the decline. What usually triggers the downfall, like the return to homeostasis, if you will, right? What is the moment when you start to gradually return to that neutral state, or just a better feeling state? Maybe it's when you take a break, when you take a deep breath, when you get a cup of water, when you talk to somebody about your emotions, when you speak out loud, maybe when you process the order of events. Everybody's different, right? But we all have these tools. You just have to be very mindful of the tools in real time, so that way you can effectively manage your emotions and your frustrations, okay? So maybe when you're pissed off at this scrubby Ryu player that just keeps dashing at you, when you are starting to feel the decline of that frustration, it's maybe when you create some distance and give yourself some time to reassess things. Or maybe when you land your first anti-air after that situation, or maybe your first whiff punish, or maybe your first throw, or maybe you just block them and then you realize it's not as scary as you think it is. Maybe you have to experience the thing that you're running away from. Everybody's different, okay? So there's no like cookie cutter answer. The next thing would be noticing and recognizing the conditions that underlie that. So what is it that what is the meaning that you give to those situations that caused the rise or the fall of your emotions? What is causing this? What is underneath brewing that's causing this topsy-turvy interpretation of these events, right? A lot of times it's conditioning. It's usually what it is. Maybe, you know, a certain family member used to yell at you every time you made a mistake, and you kind of tense up when you make mistakes. So then you're extremely hard on yourself. Or maybe you've been disappointed in somebody, so you don't want to disappoint others, so you put a lot of pressure on yourself. Stuff like that happens in the game, because you got to remember, you're the constant, right? It sounds crazy, but you are the one that's pressing the buttons. You're the constant. You are the player playing the character. It's nobody else. So it's your history being interpreted on the screen through buttons, through special moves, through spacing, through temperament. You know what I'm saying? Through playstyle, through decisions. It's you. You are the constant. You are the one that is always involved in all of your matches, regardless of the character you play, regardless of the playstyle. It's always you. You see what I'm saying? And lastly, avoiding it in the future. So you take all of those things that I just talked about, which is understanding when it's present, when it's not present, the rise, the fall, the conditions that underlie the rise and the fall, and then avoiding it in the future. How do you avoid it in the future? Well, you want to make sure that you're balanced, right? You want to make sure that you're rested well. You want to make sure that you're eating right. All of this stuff plays into it. You know what I'm saying? All of this plays into it. You got to remember, whatever you input determines your output. So whatever I input into this mechanism that is my mind is going to determine my output. And remember, your mind is not yours, but it's your responsibility, right? So you have to make sure you're nurturing your mind and taking care of it like you would your physique. And you got to make sure you take care of your physique like you would your emotions like you do your spirit. So you got to make sure that you sleep right, you eat right, watching what you ingest digitally, right? Information wise, you know, don't be on social media too much looking at these fake lifestyles that people perceive themselves as being perfect, but we all know that's bullshit. You got to watch what you're ingesting. What are you eating every day? What are you consuming? You're a consumer in capitalism. They rely on you as a consumer to make the profit machine that is capitalism continue on. They rely on you. They rely on your mind being chaotic so that they can manipulate you. You understand what I'm saying? That's what they do. So watch what you eat. Upstairs, what are you digesting? What are you feeding your mind, right? Read a chapter of a book every day. One chapter. That's like 20 minutes. I'm pretty sure we waste 20 minutes on our phone, right? Scrolling the internet easily. And you can still do that. I'm just saying, subtract 20 minutes and then you can still do it. But just take 20 minutes and invest it somewhere else. Just take it here, cut it off, throw it over there. Okay? So, physique, exercise, make sure you're eating right. Watch out with how much sugar you're consuming. You know what I'm saying? All that stuff plays into your willpower, right? Because willpower is finite. You can't rely on willpower. But willpower will help you. It's a vehicle to help you towards that ultimate realization of the idea that nothing lasts forever. You'll see, like, yo, willpower helps you power through those very difficult times and emotions and frustrations. But when you get past that, the ultimate source of power is to just see that nothing lasts forever, so that the mind that tricks you into not thinking you could do things or doing things you don't want to do, or into believing you're a certain way, you'll notice, like, yo, this isn't even real. Look outside. Look at the trees dying. The trees die. They go through this cyclical nature of dying, rebirth, over and over and over again. We do that all the fucking time. Our cells are constantly dying and regenerating, right? Every single second. At the end of this conversation, you're a completely different person because you have new cells in your body, right? Compared to when we started the conversation. Not only do you have new information, you have new cells. You're a completely different human being. So why do we buy into the idea that we are a certain way? That's bullshit. We buy into this idea because we think that is security. It's not security. The ultimate security is knowing I know nothing. You understand what I'm saying? That's the ultimate freedom. Example, I was pissed I lost to Kachashik. I don't even know how to fucking pronounce his name, right? I don't even know how to pronounce his name, but I was pissed. I was like, man, what the fuck? But I see it. Oh, I'm angry. But remember, anger isn't always violent. It isn't always extreme. It's very volatile in nature and degrees. So it's not always the same. It's not always obvious. Sometimes it's subtle. Passive aggressiveness is a form of anger. It's very, very microscopic, though, in comparison to punching somebody in the face, right? But if you recognize it, you can still see the source. You can see what it is, right? It's just very subtle. It hides a little bit better, okay? So I felt like I was angry, but then I was like, oh, I'm angry. Okay? That's just, it's an experience. Life is about experience, guys. You gotta let shit happen. Just let it happen and notice it's not real. It's only real when you want it to be. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you focus on determines the quality of your life. Simple as that. Sounds like hocus pocus magic, but it's really not. I'm not telling you to ignore your difficulties and your challenges, but what I'm telling you is to watch what you focus on. Because if all you focus on are challenges and difficulties, life is going to keep giving you more of the same. You know what I'm saying? But if you focus on opportunity and growth, life is going to give you more of the same. You see what I'm saying? That's why conversations like this are important and healthy, and I recommend you guys have these things all the time. Okay? Hopefully that answered your question.